that, we're going to roll into the next topic, which is about cyber physical breaches. We talk now a lot about cyber, like information security, but physical breaches and how to stop them. That's what Henry Kurudzoglu is going to talk about. And Henry has a... John! Sorry, I'm having a blonde moment. Henry is finished. John Kurudzoglu. He is from a company, he's the founder of a company called Secure Tactics, and he blends physical security, fraud prevention, and cyber risk into one practical approach. Built 27001 and SOC 2 programs as well, and led fraud investigations at Service New South Wales and trained red teams to think like criminals. So give it up for John and enjoy the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank ASIAL and ADT for having us here today. Thank you. I want this session to be interactive. Please ask questions as I go along. We're not going to be doing a lot of theory here. We're just going to look at real-world cases, what went wrong, and we're going to learn from them a little bit. That's a little bit about me, a little blurb. You'll get this prezzo at the end of the presentation, so don't worry about taking notes for now. Okay, so we're going to ask questions as we go along. This stuff really did happen, and there are references for this. You wouldn't believe it. And yeah, let's get the conversation going. Okay. So, what are we going to learn today? Physical security and cyber security go hand in hand, unfortunately. Once upon a time, it was a case, the doors would be locked. They wouldn't be controlled by Wi-Fi, or you wouldn't have any remote access. And this day and age, it's all changed. They're interlinked. We're going to look at some real world breaches and see what happened. And we're going to talk about the human error, the complacency, what we call the human failure, and how these attacks actually took place. And we're going to find out how the criminals got caught. That's always important, right? So let's start. Okay. So, you've probably seen this before. You walk into an office or into a shared office suite, and there's a little sign up on the wall saying, check yourself in, register yourself in. This is now becoming commonplace. It's very forward thinking. It's very economical. It looks very trendy. You do it yourself. You swipe yourself in, and there's a little door on the side. You just tap your card and off you go in. No one knows why you're there. This is the reality. This is what today we're seeing. And that is true. If you have a QR code and a receptionist called Carol making eye contact, you're in a lot of trouble. That's not going to stop anyone. Actually, if anything, that's going to let people slip in, and people are going to think this is normal behavior. So keep an eye on that. Okay. Here's a really interesting one. This one is actually a little bit funny as well. So Maroochy Shire Sewerage Sewage Services, they had new SCADA equipment installed. So a gentleman by the name of Vitek Bowden was an engineer working for one of the vendors. Now, he didn't want to work there anymore. So he was working for Hunter Watertech at the time. And he thought, I can get a job at the council, at the sewage works, because I've installed the equipment for them. I'll get a job with them. So he put in a job application. They denied him. He got upset. He thought, I've got to get back at them. They don't like me. I think there were more problems in his life, but let's just put it down to the fact that he didn't get the job. So what he does is he drives near the plant, gets out his Motorola 900 megahertz remote radio, and taps into the sewage works. And he released 800,000 litres, but not in one go. He didn't want to get caught at first. He thought, I'll do 50,000 litres here, 10,000 litres there. The locals are coming out again. There's a smell in the river. What's going on? Dead fish, brown water everywhere. They're going, okay, something's not right. The plant engineers were none the wiser. They did not know what to monitor for. So they're looking at valves opening and closing. They go, okay, we've got faulty equipment. So they ring back Hunter Tech. They come and have a look at it. And they go, well, hang on. Someone's remotely operating the equipment. They didn't think of, hey, let's deactivate remote access. No, keep it running. So 800,000 litres later, and they finally got a little bit of the wiser. They thought, okay, someone's doing this remotely. Finally, they had surveillance. Police were involved. They had security guards. They caught him. He was in a car. He was parked about 150 meters away from the plant. Binoculars, his laptop, Motorola 900 megahertz radio, on and off, same time every day he was doing it. So yeah, there was a pattern there. That's what got him in trouble. If he had only varied his pattern a bit and gone different days, he might have gone away with it. So on a deeper understanding of where it all went wrong, the equipment that was installed was never tested for security lapses. So the 900 megahertz Motorola SCADA equipment has no authentication. You can send an uncommanded command. So, you could send a malformed packet and it could basically turn on valves forever. You could never switch them off. It was never tested for that. So this was interesting. And the other thing was there's no access control. Any radio could connect to it as long as it's on the same frequency band. So that was quite dangerous, actually. The real danger was Bowden himself was a systems engineer who knew everything about the product. He knew everything about the Mauritius sewage works as well. So this is insider knowledge next level. There's an old saying, all you need is a pissed off sysadmin and a bit of time under their sleeve. That's him. So what are the lessons here? Offboarding. Okay, how would you offboard a vendor? This is really interesting. Look, if they left the password on the system, disable it. Change it if you can. I think better background checks on the company and the employee. I think your own engineers, your own system matter experts should be sitting side by side with people like Vitek, ask them, how does this thing work? And before they leave, how do we secure it? How do we switch off remote access? None of that was done. They're just a couple of little things there. Critical system operations, ex-employees. Yes, ex-employees are dangerous. Never forget that. And it's not a point in time. That risk will follow you forever. They may not attack you today. They will attack you next year when your guard is down, when you least suspect it. The best that these guys could have done, seriously, to have a half a chance, is monitor the equipment, get alerts. The first time you switched on the valve, there should have been some sort of an emergency alert from a management system saying, hey, uncommanded open, where is it coming from? Even an after hours alert. We don't open valves after 5 p.m. This one's open at 5:01. What's going on? They would have caught him. $1 million later, and many years later, it's still not clean from what I believe. So let's go to the next one. Okay. Who's seen Ocean's 11? This is the real world Ocean's 11. Now, to be fair here, Ocean's 11 was filmed in 2001. This occurred in 2003. Now, I reckon he got inspired from the film. That's the theory. And this story is an exact parallel of what happened in Ocean's 11. So, Leonardo Notarbartolo, born in Palermo, Sicily, very flamboyant, very charismatic, right? He liked to mix with the wealthy. He was a known forger. He was a known fraudster. And he was known for committing burglaries. He never wanted to attack people. He didn't believe in violence. And he was all about the silent getaway. No one catches him. No one knows he's there. So what he did is he broke into a vault in Antwerp where they had diamonds and very expensive other gemstones. So him and his crew, he had a crew of 10, Ocean's 11 style, right? They get in there. This was planned years in advance. He had blueprints. He had paid insiders. He had surveillance. He had people on his payroll. That's how good he was. So he breaks into the vault. This, by the way, he found a public holiday, 24-hour operation. This was not 5 minutes, you're in, you're out. His crew knew exactly where to look. They knew every bit of equipment in there, right? So they used hairspray to find infrared trip sensors. They used their own video feeds. He actually had his own digital video recorder equivalent plugged into their feed. That's how good he was. He knew exactly what was happening. They had, from what I believe as well, they did not even use heavy-duty tools. He had keys, he had He knew how to bypass the security of the vault locking system. That's how good he was. So they take 100 million worth of jewels. They leave. They get caught a couple of days later for very simple reasons. So when they left, there was footage across the road from other buildings. They caught them, right? They knew, okay, this person shouldn't be here. Once they saw his photo, Interpol knew who he was. They go, right, his operating model is he'll be nearby. So they go to all the hotels, they canvass them, they find his. They said to hotel staff, do not touch a thing in there. They look through the bins, schematics, blueprints, and they find a half-eaten salami sandwich, right? They said, keep it for evidence. We've got his DNA on record. Keep it for evidence. We need to tie him to the crime. Then there was a bit of a forest in Antwerp right behind the building, pretty close to the vault. So they go there and they find all their tools, hydraulic presses, you name it. They had everything in there. They even had tents in there. Gathered all the evidence. They caught him. And his crew. The only catch was they only recovered $1 million worth of jewels. He was pretty quick to get rid of it pretty quickly. So, what do we learn from this? You can go to Bunnings, buy a laundry list of equipment and actually bypass some of the best security. Knowledge. And this guy was renowned for building mock-ups and training and retraining until he got it right. So practice makes perfect. Now, layered security. They had multiple layers in the Antwerp vault. The reason why he got through it is he knew of the human lapses. He knew when security guards would be back. He knew where security guards frequented. He knew ways how to bribe security guards. He just knew the system very well. He exploited human vulnerability. This is how he got through it. And this is a lesson for all of us, I suppose. You can have the best tech. This is where humans need to come in and detect behaviors which are not normal. What's he doing here? Why is that car parked across the road? Do you guys remember in the UK, a couple of years ago, there was a vault which was attacked on a long weekend by some old timers? We're talking about, are you guys aware of that story? These guys were in their 60s, late 60s, 70s. So they broke into a diamond exchange, cut a hole through the wall, big concrete wall. They had drills, presses, you name it. The only reason they got caught, they used their getaway vehicle had plates which were not stolen. It was their actual owner's vehicle. And CCTV found that vehicle frequenting because they had broken, as they were drilling, they kept breaking their tools. So they had to go and get more tools, and they got caught. If it wasn't for that fake number plates, they would have been scot-free. Same sort of thing here. You need to be able to pick up, from a human level, we need to be able to pick up patterns which are not standard. And this is what we're learning here. And knowledge is dangerous. That's the main thing I'm trying to present here as well. He'd be your worst adversary. Any questions, anyone? Anyone? Cool. We'll go to the next one. Okay, that's a real photo, by the way. Tilly Koopman, she's a Swiss national. She's a developer and a hacktivist. So she logs in. What she does is she scans GitHub repos looking for vulnerabilities. And she does a bit of bug bounty work, but she's known to be a hacktivist. Let me put it this way. She broke into General Motors, Mercedes, Tesla, and a few other organizations, stole some of their proprietary information and did nothing with it. She just put it on the web for everyone else to take. Hacktivist, right? And she's simply saying, I'm doing this because you're weak. So she breaks into Verkada. Verkada is a provider of CCTV equipment and security equipment that's cloud connected, right? So they do door sensors, they do alarm systems, etc. They're all cloud connected, remotely notifying the clients if there's a vulnerability, if there's a breaking. So she hacks into it by using the admin123 account. Now, developers left that account in the source code for their own convenience. Why log in every time you're developing, right? It's simple. We'll take it out one day, but we just didn't, which goes to show they didn't even test the code. Long story short, so she breaks into a lot of organizations. So Tesla was the first to get a whiff of this. She started putting videos out of the manufacturing plant. Elon Musk loses the plot. He's going, okay, this proprietary information we don't want people to know about. Now they're seeing it. So this is a problem for everyone. She took photos of a cycle of people being tied down to beds. This is live streaming, right? She just put them on TikTok and wherever else. Jails, police, holding cells, you name it. We're talking about some very sensitive information. And she basically said to the world, I'm here, I'm in Switzerland, come and get me. She knew they couldn't extradite her. So Verkada, by the way, is a very interesting organization, a little bit private. So it's managed by venture capitalist firms, no shareholders, complete isolation from any shareholder revolt. So they could do whatever they wanted. So the organization didn't have multi-factor, no login, no alerts, and the best one, no tenant isolation. So Tesla, the jails, hospitals, all sat on the same environment. You got into one, you got into all of them. Madness, next level madness. Tillman finally got caught. The FBI went to Switzerland. They had, I think Elon Musk put enough pressure on them. They couldn't extradite her. She's still facing charges. I think she's under home arrest at the moment. And she continues doing what she's doing. So let's look at some lessons here. First of all, don't ever hard code your credentials. I think it's just madness. If you do, get rid of them. And to the earlier point, the gentleman before me, they had the vulnerability, was discussing vulnerabilities. There are automated test tools you can run on your code. Do it. A couple of $1,000, do it. Just run it. You'll find something. We'll go to the next one. Okay, this guy's my favorite. So Canadian Rail. By the way, Canadian Rail Pacific do long-haul locomotives, right? So this gentleman here, Christopher Grip, was a bit of a slacker. You know, he didn't do too well at work. He didn't turn up on time, etc., etc. HR gave him his marching orders. So he goes back to his boss and says, I don't want you to sack me. I want to resign. They said, well, okay, same thing, fine. But he said, I need to borrow the work laptop so I can write up my resume. They said, fine. And I need my credentials because I need to get to my emails and contact prospective employers. They go, fine. We're not going to be upset about it. He goes home. He goes on a rampage, logs into all the switches, deletes, not changes password, deletes them, right? Wipes them. Goes onto his own laptop, wipes it clean, rebuilds it basically. Didn't realize that he logged in VPN. There are VPN logs. That's another story. Comes back to work the next day, hands in his laptop, they hand him his letter, all good. A couple of weeks later, they're trying to make some changes. No one can log in. Everyone's locked out. Now, there's two options here. One is, do you buy brand new equipment stuff from scratch? Or, you get this guy to admit to it. They could have proven it was him. So they bring in a forensics firm. They sat down for days on end. They finally found remnants of his handiwork. So they haul him in. He denied it. So the Canadian Mounties arrest him. I remember this, actually reading about this. So he goes to court. The judge says, you've got a choice. You don't tell us. That's up to you. It's 10 years prison. You tell us it's only 1 year prison. What do you want to do? He goes, I'll tell you. I'll do 365 days, is it? So he had a back door. He had some other accounts. He gave it to them, and they finally got into their systems. So he had locked them out to the point that they couldn't reprogram rail switches to change lines. So this is how bad it was. Pretty dangerous too. So, as I said earlier, a disgruntled IT employee with a lot of time on their hands and really angry is dangerous. What HR did, I think, was silly. It was reckless. Cost them many thousands of dollars and many hours of downtime. And I think the message is very clearly, if you let go of someone, end their access there and there. There's nothing, you cannot be civil about it. You can't say to them, hey, do it on your own terms. No. At this point, you hand in your laptop, we end your accounts. Bye-byes. It ends there. Any questions? Has it happened to anyone here anyway, by the way? No? Maybe? Not yet. Okay, it will happen. It's quite funny, actually. It shouldn't be, but it is quite funny. Okay. We're going to touch on AI a little bit because I know AI is the theme of the day now. And I didn't want to go without talking about AI. I'll just bring it up. So this gentleman here, Robert Williams, went to a store in Detroit which sells expensive watches. And I think, from memory, a watch went missing. So this happened in 2018. So in 2020, police turn up from Detroit. They handcuff him in front of his kids and family. They go, "You're under arrest for stealing a watch." He says, "Well, I didn't steal anything." They said, "No, no, no, we've got you." So they haul him back to the police station, into the locking cell, 30 hours, right? Isolated from his family, no further reason. So the police finally, he kept pleading, I'm innocent, why am I locked up? The police, they went back to the store, they looked at the old grainy CCTV, which they go, hang on, that's a white person, he's a black person. The AI software, which does recognition here and does face matching, got it wrong. Let's apologize to him and let him out. So 30 hours locked up. So Robert, he pulled a lawsuit and he had to work out why this happened. And this is quite interesting, actually. And no one knew about this. So the Detroit Police Department tapped into the DMV. So they had everyone's driver's license photo. Now, the software they were using was first generation AI based. There was a warning from the vendor, do not rely on it. This is simply a flagging tool. You need to investigate on your own. Do not rely on it. They were so stretched, they didn't care. They just went, right, guilty. Get him in. The problem here also was the security guard at the store was no longer there. So the original security guard, they asked him, do you know what the guy looked like? He goes, I sort of think I know what he looked like. They left it at that. They took some notes. So they came back from notes from 2 years ago, from 2 years earlier, and they're saying, well, hang on, we think it's him. So there was a complete lapse in proper investigative procedure. Look, I feel for him. 30 hours being locked up for no reason, I think is madness. He sued the Detroit police. He also sued the Attorney General's office as well. And he also made public the DMV link to the AI-based facial recognition software, which no one knew about. It was completely secret, which was really interesting. It was a turning point. And I think the Attorney General's office actually came back, apologized, and they forced the Detroit Police Department to change all their procedures. You cannot rely on the software. So what the software did is it gives you a confidence rating between 1 and 10, and you're meant to take that as a guide as well. You can't just simply say, hey, it's him. There was another case. It was at, I think, in Walmart. There was an old gentleman. He was hobbling. The camera filmed his swagger. They pulled him over. They said, sir, you've taken something? He said, no, I haven't. They said, in the back, let's go. Drop your pants. We want to see what's in your leg. He said, I've just had surgery. I've had a prosthetic limb. I've had a hip replacement. I said, no, you had to strip. He was searched. They went, oh, geez, you are right. Sorry. It's happened before. So yeah. So just a quick one for you guys. AI, facial recognition. It does have its uses. You need to train the model and test against edge cases. The 1 in a million case that may not transpire, test against that. It's important. So what have we learned today? Just a quick one. Insiders are your biggest blind spot. Train for it, plan for it, expect it. It's going to happen at some point if they're determined. Test like an attacker. I reckon once a year you should be checking your physical and your cyber systems, particularly if you're running critical infrastructure. HR needs to be better involved. Offboarding should be coordinated with other departments as well, with IT, with your finance department, with everyone. Make sure the equipment is returned. Make sure accounts are switched off. It's important. Don't do it yourself. DIY security. Bring in the experts. Get a second opinion. Get consultants to work with you. AI, this is what I was saying a minute earlier. Test edge cases. Look for bias. You need to train your models. AI is mathematics. It's always just mathematics. That's all we're using. Code. You need to test, and retrain and retrain. That's what we're doing all the time. And train your own people. to spot weaknesses. Your staff will know when something looks odd. Get them to talk to you. Actually, more importantly, do this exercise. Say to your staff once a year when you do your hackathons or whatever you do, if you were to inflict damage to us, how would you do it? Just ask them that. Over drinks, just do that. And you'll get some interesting answers. Thank you. That's all I have.
I have a question for you. Yesterday, the final presentation about the research into insider threat also had very much a someone is up to something bad. It's one of the colleagues has gone bad, or someone has infiltrated, got the job, and already had the intention of doing something criminal. I've been doing a lot more in Europe on a topic around red teaming and people who are normally part of your corporate family being manipulated into doing something bad with compromising information, whatever, as a threat. And the controls around that are not so much this kind of approach, but more about corporate culture, colleagues observing change in behavior in their best friends, really, who are now under pressure. How much is being done in that context from your perspective, and why is that not highlighted by in this whole conference, basically?
Okay, I'll tell you guys a story. And this is Chatham House, right? So there's a big bank. I had a chat to them 2 years ago, and I said, "Are your tellers, can I give them a gift?" They said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" "If I said to your teller, after hours, here's $10,000. I'm your friend. Is that a problem?" They said, "Oh, after work, I don't know." And I said, "Where's this going?" I said, "If I could manipulate them, I could bypass know your customer. I could money launder very quickly, set up accounts, fictitious names, you named it, right? I could bypass." They said, "Oh, geez, okay, that's interesting." They said, "We haven't really gone down that path." I said, "Why?" They said, "How do you bring it up? Do you admit that you don't trust your own staff?"
Mm-hmm.
That's one. I know some organizations are really tough on it. I've heard stories where in the US, they'll look at your lifestyle factors. For example, Brad drives a Toyota Corolla, a month later comes in, with a Mercedes. They go, "Well, hang on, what happened there?" They will question that and look at it. They look at your social media accounts. I'll give an example here. If they see you mixing with unsavory elements on Facebook, that can give them some interesting suspicions where things might be going, right? I think they do a lot of, I think in the financial services sector, they do that. They might not admit to it, but I think they do some of that. In other industries, I don't really know. I think it becomes expensive as well. Do you hire private investigators on the side? If you're suspicious, what do you do?
But again, that comes from this kind of, the sort of negative approach, whereas what I've heard in the Netherlands, for example, with one university investigating all of this, it's more about red teaming with new staff if they're in probation period.
Yep.
Red teaming, crash test your own process. If you're in HR, how can you get illegally a job here with illegal papers? Oh, I can do that on the last week of the month because the manager's never there and blah, blah, blah. Physical security guards. How can I get into the vault here at this central bank? Oh, that's Friday, 3 o'clock because my two colleagues, one's picking up his daughter, the other one's on a smoke break. I'm the last one standing. Security guards know how easy it is to get in. Well, the easiest way to get into to conduct a breach. So they're using that kind of playful mechanism, and they see different behaviors in people who are completely innocent. In fact, they actually take it really as a fun thing. Whereas they also have ways to observe and see that people who are not participating that naturally, that they have a conversation with them. And the second thing they do is really highlight that every single person in the organization can be vulnerable to this threat. Because if they threaten your kids, your health and well-being, or, you siphon off some information from the company, either way, well, what are you going to choose? Your family. So they basically make it an open conversation for all staff to know this is a threat. And if something's going on, the culture of making mistakes is actually your biggest threat, because what you want is that employee going to a manager or someone saying, "I've already done something wrong. I wasn't aware of it. I was manipulated. Didn't want to do this." And at that point, it can still be kind of nipped in the bud to some degree. I'm not saying for every situation, but that culture is maybe better than finger pointing.
Absolutely. The organizations that embed it in early, they have clear direction where they want of your actions. Absolutely.
Right.
A big one now is the call centers in India and the Philippines, right? Attackers will actually bribe or coerce workers that work in these call centers, right? hand over credit card details, or give me the login accounts for these companies, and they do it. Oh, here's $1,000. Look the other way.
Yeah.
It's very difficult,
Yeah.
and for a lot of these employees, it's like, oh, okay, if I don't do it, he'll come after me, or if it's a great opportunity. $1,000 is $1,000, right? Absolutely, I agree with you. It's culture, it's risk management as well. So absolutely.
Yeah. Great. I had to go hint that we have to wrap up. Super interesting topic, by the way. Thank you, John.